Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to the Blackstone Millville Regional School District for November 14, 2013 to order. Everyone please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Introduction of members.
I'm Steve Tringali from Millville.
Mike Buckley, Blackstone.
Brian Faulkner, Millville.
Diane Robin, Blackstone.
Wendy Greenstein, Blackstone.
Perry Davis, Superintendent of Schools.
Bill Chaplin, Blackstone. So we will do report of the student representatives that are not here, so we'll move on from that. Public forum. Anyone in the public, this is your time to come out and tell us your views. Seeing none, we will move forward. Consent agenda A.
If I can, Mr. Chairman, I do have one item to add to consent agenda A. I did receive a request yesterday for a student for homeschooling, Brandon Parmento, is currently grade 11, so we need to have the school committee approve that. Came in after the agenda was set.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
can I move that item be taken separate, just so there's a separate vote recorded?
absolutely. Anyone have any discussion on that? We okay with having that separate, the homeschooling? Okay. So we have payroll, we have payables, we have use of school facilities, field trips. I'm just going to quickly read the field trips if you don't mind for the people at home. Blackstone Police Department, the forensic science class, Davis Farmland, New England Aquarium, Mystic Aquarium, Plymouth Plantation, Christmas caroling at the Blackstone Senior Center, and Roger Williams Park Zoo. And then we also have the minutes to approve from October 24th, 2013.
Move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Buckley, make a motion to approve, seconded by Ms. Robin. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Abstentions? And now we'll move to the homeschooling.
I motion to accept the homeschooling
Request?
for Brandon Parmento, grade 11.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Robin. Any discussion? All those in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays?
Nay.
Abstentions? Okay.
Under the superintendent's report, quick update on all of the building projects. The JFK FM roof is currently under construction. The contractor, Greenwood Industries, is working on some Saturdays and holidays, weather permitting. We've had a few days where we were not able to work due to some light rain, and one day we had too much wind, and they were not able to work. The painting trim has been completed. The painting contractor is also responsible for replacing some of the fascia board. They will be back doing that work starting tomorrow. And then the roofing, as it so indicated in my memo, has moved off of the A wing and out to the B wing, and Mrs. Brown is working with the faculty and staff relocating students as we go around the building. In terms of the Blackstone project, there was an inquiry made that some people thought that the roof was white. It is light gray. He had the project manager who's on site. She went and double-checked all of the Sarnafel material that was delivered, and it is properly light gray. But on a sunny day, it did look white, but it is not white, it is light gray. So that is not an issue.
Just one question relative to that project.
Yeah.
I was under the impression that we had a separate cleaning company working under the contractor to come in.
The general contractor is using his own people. They're required in the contract to clean,
Okay.
but they're using their own people.
How's that working out?
Not good.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
That's hence the complaints.
Yeah.
I thought the spec was that they were using cleaning people, not their own people.
No, well, it's all in the interpretation. They're responsible for the cleaning.
Okay.
Originally, we were led to believe they were going to have separate cleaners. Now they are using their workers, but they're Greenwood employees. I mean, it's in their contract to do it. and they are dealing with it. We ran into a problem on the A-wing where the roof is stripped, and then they vibrate the roof for material to loosen it up. They then put down the insulation and then the Sonafel roofing material. They went back and vibrated the roof again. We had already cleaned the rooms, so the material got vibrated and you get some dust falling. We had a meeting that they needed to change that protocol because we could not they said they cleaned the rooms, and then I said, well, you dirtied them, so you gotta clean them again. All right? So they've changed their process. They only vibrate the roof once. All right? But there is some issues, with the cleaning. All right? But we've corrected the process, which contributed to the A-wing difficulty. All right? But the contractor is responsible for it. They're using their own people, which, again, is their prerogative to do that. The custodial staff at the school does go in and helps, teachers. Again, you learn that A-wing was the first to go. We didn't cover up material in closets. Well, there's decking over the closet and dust got in the closet. Now we know to put the poly inside the closet as well. Just wasn't anticipated first time around. The other thing was to centrally locate material in the room. Actually physically move it to the center of the room so it can be polyed and covered. So there's been a learning experience. But yes, we've had multiple conversations with our OPM and with the foreman for Greenwood Industries on that. They have also brought in, as I understand it today, a heavy HVAC vac to use in the cleaning of the room.
Oh, good.
You need that. You need a big vac.
So just to clarify, that the process has been changed, so.
Construction process has been
Right.
changed, and
Order.
according, again, they're doing another section. We won't get that we won't get that vibration twice, and it's only gonna be done once.
So
to do
the
that.
problem was in that they vibrated it, people went in, moved stuff around, thinking they were done, and it.
They
okay.
vibrated the
Good
roof
element.
Came
again.
No, they cleaned, then they vibrated,
Yeah,
Right,
which they have to vibrate, then clean.
right.
question is, how clean did they clean?
Well,
So,
that's the
but you're right,
issue.
it's a learning experience, that's the first one. One other question, though,
No,
regarding the staging of the materials.
Yeah.
It looks like, I had asked specifically, would the material be staged behind the building
I thought, too.
over near the baseball field?
Right.
There's a parking area back there, and I was told, yeah, that's where it's all gonna be staged. I noticed that it's not, it's staged over in the
It's over by the
playground, right by the
Blacktop.
playground.
Blacktop.
So,
Well, that's where they're working,
yeah, okay, so is the material staged behind as well?
yes.
And will that, eventually, will they get the playground back,
Yes.
Before
The
the whole
A-wing,
project?
the
then
kindergarten wing.
They'll move to the other side?
Most of what you see there is, as I was there today, it's the insulation. It looks like a lot of material, but it's the
Yeah,
insulation.
Yeah, it's that white material,
Yeah.
it's what everybody thought the roofing tile was
Right,
probably.
it's,
That white stuff.
the insulation is white.
Okay,
And
good.
that material will be used rather quickly once they do the B-wing and the kindergarten wing.
Insulation's good, that'll help our heating costs.
Yeah. But
Okay.
again, the bigger stuff is staged out back. That stuff is light, because when we had our meeting, we don't want that lift truck going around as much,
Yeah.
to move stuff. And yes, it seemed proximate, and it was going to be used. But we are, without a doubt, about a week behind schedule. So that material has been there longer than we thought it was going to be. They should have been on the kindergarten wing. They're just getting ready to move to there. So we're learning.
And they're gonna start working this Saturday? Will they be in there?
It all depends on the weather.
They've been in Saturdays already.
Have they been in on Saturdays?
Yeah.
Greg,
I've seen it a few times.
Yeah.
the agreement, was to try to work on Saturdays, particularly to hit the common areas like the cafeteria, so that was not an impact on that. But, as long as the weather cooperates, that's their intention.
Which it hasn't.
Unfortunately, yeah, wind and rain, they won't work.
I did see him on the weekends, though, in the common
Oh,
area
yeah. Yep.
section,
They've been-
working
they've-
with a lot of men up there.
Yeah.
Good.
I raised the issue of staffing with the OPM, to say, because we have a December 17th deadline. We have 75 days, calendar days, not work days, to get that job done. So they have a schedule to complete.
If they don't have it done by the 17th, is there some
There's
clawback or
correct.
penalty?
The contract does, call for some procedures for them to take responsibility.
Okay.
Good.
So they have
Yeah.
incentive.
It's it's covered,
Okay.
other than an extreme weather event at this point.
Yeah.
Get a hurricane or
Right.
15-foot blizzard.
We've raised that issue.
Good.
all right? It is a construction project, I'll be perfectly honest. No construction project is not without some nuance to it. Again, we're taking and moving the students and the teachers out of the area, so nobody's under the roof while it's being worked on. There is, we had no idea how much dust was gonna be stirred up. We've had inquiries about, is there anything in there? We've looked, again, MSDS sheets are public. Those have been given to anybody that's made an inquiry about it. And all of the materials are non-toxic, all right? But anytime you do something, there are going to be smells. Much the same way if you paint in your house, even if you're using latex paint, people know that there's gonna be 2 or 3 days that you're gonna vent. What we've been doing, and the custodians have been putting extra fans and leaving windows open overnight to add to the ventilation. As long as we stay in this weather pattern, we can do that, all right? But all the all the contract specs called for non-toxic materials to be used. But when you're using an adhesive, there is an odor. There is an odor, there's no question about it.
Yep.
That's why nobody's under it when it's being done, but, how much of that odor stays around when everything's done up on top of the roof, that's part of our experience at this point, all right?
Okay, thanks.
Okay. The regional high school roof project, funds were actually deposited in our account today from the bond anticipation note, which was sold, and Eastern Bank is the holder of that note. So we now have cash in hand, which then allows the OPM and the designer to move forward with their design and construction documents. And we should be getting some draft project plans within the next few weeks. Again, the goal of that project, we had to file for an extension with the MSBA because when we originally did that roof, we were supposed to get it done before the close of calendar year 2013. Due to the funding issue on the approval in the town of Millville, we were not able to stay on that schedule. So we did submit the documentation to MSBA. I spoke with Kevin Sullivan, our liaison, and he said the documentation was fine. And we now have through 2014 to complete that project. The goal would be to get that bid to go out sometime in the spring, to have work done probably late summer, early fall. All right? It all depends on the documentation. All right? Then we have the Millville Elementary roof. That is the roof project that at this point we had the initial $35,000 from the town of Millville to do the initial design. We have a deadline of December 5th for that OPM and designer to submit documents that then can be brought to the January board meeting of MSBA, which then can move us to the next level of having funding plan, bring that back to the town of Millville, and start the process of design documents and moving forward. Again, that project, because of the reality that we have to wait for a town meeting to vote on that project, we end up with a couple of months where we can't do anything. And realistically, that roof at Millville Elementary will probably be re-roofed next fall. All right? It will not be enough time to get all of the documents done because we won't have money to pay anybody until late spring. Okay? So, we're dealing with 3 roof projects.
Are they
in
gonna
different
wait for the annual? Is that their plans?
I don't know.
Okay.
we have no dollar amounts, so we have not communicated with the, we would be coming back. As you well know, the process starts here. We would have to come back to the school committee, and then by the statutes, the regional school committee would take a vote to do the project. That starts a 60-day clock for the town. Well, naturally, we would not want to have that clock start before annual town meeting, because then they have to call a special town meeting. So the timing of that will be based around where are we, and more than likely, it would be annual town meeting. Would be the goal, to do that. All right? So that's where we stand at this point with the Millville project. All right? The next item on the agenda is a report on the special revenues. This was asked by members of the committee as we look at our status. Your financial advisor, Jim Eggert, was in, and I met with Donna Scungio and Jim Eggert to kind of go over the special revenues. And if you look at the second sheet, your special revenue accounts, these are the balances as of June 30 in those accounts. In the middle column are some of the offsets that you took as a committee when you did the fiscal 14 budget. All right? And on the far right column would be what is the balance adjusting for the fiscal 14 budget. So if you look halfway down, the circuit breaker account at June 30 had $407,804 in it. You had anticipated and took $300,000. We have a balance in that account of $92,804. However, look at the footnote that we had when Mr. Eggert had the excess and deficiency account certified by the Department of Revenue. We had to take $15,000 off of the balance sheet. That was because circuit breaker funds can only be held by the district for 2 years. And if they're not used, they have to come off the this account, and so they in effect on our E&D we had to take them out, right? So that's good news. As I said, there's good news on some of these accounts in terms of funds that are available to the district. Many of these funds we need to, when we have our fiscal audit, go back and revisit them relative to, perhaps setting up other revolving accounts. We have one account that's called miscellaneous revenue, all right? And as of June 30, there was nothing in it. You took an anticipation of $35,000 in miscellaneous revenue, and that concerns me in terms of miscellaneous revenue coming in. The Medicaid doesn't, because we will get Medicaid money over the course of the year to go in that account. But I think we do have to kind of revisit some of these accounts and maybe consider getting them under revolving accounts. All right.
Perry, on the Medicaid?
Yeah.
So there was nothing in the 630, because in the past, we in the past, now I'm going back a few years, we actually only spent what we knew we had.
Yeah.
So I think we've gotten probably a little away from that.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for pointing that out. So you figure that there will be
We're
some
making
Medicaid.
claims for Medicaid, and based on the claim submittals and, the payments over the course of the year, it looks like that $60,000 anticipated revenue will come in. Will come in.
Throughout the year, okay.
Right.
And then the athletic fees and music fees, that will also come in?
Well, I remember I reported on that last month. We are getting a revolving, but this is where we really should consider these as revolving accounts.
Right, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Because doing it this way, for the balance sheet, it looks like we're taking money that we don't have, and I would particularly want to, when we have our audit, have the auditor, give us direction on that. But yeah, the practice of having those accounts not in as revolving accounts is not a good practice. All right, is not a good practice in terms of that. Okay. The other item,
With the cable money, is that,
yes, that's the cable money.
so do we have to renegotiate that? When does that happen? Do we ask for more money? How does that work in the past?
Well, the way it was set up
Yeah.
originally was back in '04. Millville agreed to give us a certain amount of money over and above, like, say, 5,000 that rolled back into them. And so it wound up to be like probably around $10,000. For years, Blackstone had sat on their funds and wouldn't give anything until Millville stepped to the plate. So basically, if Millville gave us 10, that would be like 30%. Blackstone would give us an appropriate amount in the regional formula. And I think that's the way it's gone since then, but I think it might have been a change in the last year or two in Millville, is how they fund that. Like I said, I don't know, what their balances are, but this is basically, since that time, Millville has pretty much forwarded a check whenever the appropriate time, and then we usually had to go down and remind the Blackstone that
Okay.
they had to step up. But,
Yeah.
once again, that's on the table. I don't know what the financial situations are there. This is an agreement that's over 10 years old, and, they have new contracts since then, I'm sure. Technology obviously has changed.
I thought I got an email today saying that it was in the process of being renegotiated. They were getting a committee together with Comcast. So that's just
Oh, that may
Blackstone.
be the agreement with the town. I think Millville just settled theirs recently. Joe Raposa was telling us the last time he was here that they were able to get fiber connections from the elementary school down to town hall, and they were able to start to look at security system up there for the building and things.
Okay.
So that was always a problem up there, is that not that we were a weak link in there, but we didn't have an awful lot of bandwidth to do our internet work, as well as be able to put out video. So that's a big improvement, but I don't know what the details are. Was that in the paper, or was that on the?
I got an email. I'll have to go find out. Forward it to everybody.
Yeah, that'd be great.
The other item that I want to call your attention to, a sheet that I passed out, that I just got today. Many of you know that in the contracts with our various unions, associations, there were changes made to health insurance, and there are health reimbursement accounts, and members are allowed to turn in by September 1 any out-of-pocket expenses that they have, and you put money aside in the health insurance account to do reimbursements for things that were submitted. The three classifications of that for support staff, teachers, and administrators, the three areas, you can see that the money for support staff was in the account in the amount of $33,000. There was only $13,195.09 submitted for reimbursement. So everybody that submitted got 100% of the reimbursement. The good news is we have a balance of $19,804.91 in that account. In the teacher account, we budgeted $100,000. The claims came in from active and retired teachers, and we ended up with a balance in that account of $54,730.23. And then the health insurance reimbursement for retired administrators was budgeted at $7,000, and it left us a balance of $4,229. So this is good news. This is money that is now available, totaling $78,765. Again, available to address the $400,000 shortfall in special education. So,
when is because we adjusted the account for teachers.
right, your contract has a progressive number in it.
Like a slot machine?
I don't, you lower the amount when you set this up, and the feedback, I wasn't here, so the feedback was that the people are not incurring as many of the deductibles,
Right.
and therefore they cannot make a claim because they did not pay out of pocket those higher deductibles. All right? So this is good news. We'll have this on, obviously, the financial report when we do the next quarterly report.
So there's separate monies. I guess I thought 100,000 was the total that we put aside. There's separate monies for each of these
Correct.
categories.
Correct.
in the okay.
Right, because in the
I
collective,
thought it was a total of 100,
Right.
but this is less than half. Half has been
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.
It's good information.
But some of that, they moved over, right? It's some people have changed
Change their
their
plan.
plans.
Mhm. Mhm. So, the good news for the people that are covered by that, they all got 100% of their claim. And the good news for us is there weren't as many claims, so therefore there's a balance to look at, all right? Makes the balance sheet look a little better. The next item, I just want to call to your attention, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, this was some PowerPoints of presentation that I went to. I just need to make the committee aware, I know some of you work in schools, of the amount of initiatives that are out there with the department, and what it's requiring teachers and administrators to do and to get things done. So, there's just an awful lot of initiatives that the
Well, it's really
department.
unfunded mandates.
Well, I would agree with you, unfunded mandates is probably more accurate, but things that have to be done. For example, the district determined measures, there needed to be a pilot program filed by September 30. I hadn't even had a conversation with the teachers, because this is part of Ed-Eval. Eventually, DDMs will be used to determine the student achievement and therefore tied back to individual evaluations. And so we just had our first meeting with the teachers on this in October, made them aware of it. They met again last week, and I had to file, I did it this afternoon, a pilot program to DESE, because I got a nice email telling me I was deficient, and I had until November 15th to file. So that was filed today, with the department. But initiatives are getting to be a greater concern for us, as well as going forward, with just getting the day-to-day done. And again, this is, as you well know, without an assistant, this is work that I'm picking up, or I'm having Brad Monroe work on, or sometimes even the principals work on it, all right?
Do we have any update on a possible assistant
Oh,
superintendent?
yes. I have
was
spoken with
expecting
somebody
a no.
today. A retired principal that I know is coming in to meet with me next week, and I'm hoping that she will be able to come to work for us. She is not, because she retired last year, she has to wait until January 1st to be available because of limitations. She has to, have a period of time. But she is coming in to meet with me and possibly work 2 days, maybe 3. And it will be project-based work. I will be really meeting and delegating projects on a per diem basis, based on the salary of that you have in the budget for the assistant superintendent. It would be a per diem, no benefits, of $500 a day. But I can't, till she comes in and we sit down and talk, but I have spoken with somebody, so yes, I'm hopeful to have somebody in the office. The next item is the
Can I ask a
Blackstone.
question on that one?
Sure.
Are we one of the 85% of the school districts that are involved in the park test? Or
Yes,
did we-
we were selected for park for the high school only, not middle or elementary, and only for a math course.
Okay.
So the impact on us, as it currently stands, would be for about 25 students in this math class, which essentially is freshmen and sophomores. All right? I got an email from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education saying that we would get more information from the vendor that's doing the initial park testing shortly, because they are re-looking at, did they get enough schools? So there's possibility we could be targeted for an elementary or middle, but right now, we were only asked to participate in the park for a math course at the high school. And we estimate our numbers to be be about 25 students, and mostly grades 9 and 10 students for that. The problem with grade 10 is the students have to also take the MCAS. We would be doubling up for that because the 10th grade math is a graduation requirement. But again, based on the numbers, you know, the 10th grade students, when we looked at the enrollment numbers, again, looks to be a number of about 10 to 15 students. All right, so it looks doable for us?
And it's nice of them that they waited till September to tell you,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
so.
And there's been a number of districts that have pulled out, so they're trying to relook at their sample size, so I can't say realistically we might get tapped for another grade, but at this point, our selection, you know, was in fact for this math program. And
It's not too bad.
It's a math fundamentals
Yeah,
class,
almost,
actually.
almost everyone who's like hit for 2 or 3 and
Hope they'll
a
pull
paper, we declined.
So, that appears to be the issue, all right? The park was originally, was gonna be considered for administration and technology. It appears that now will be a paper and pencil test at this point, but the department has not fully disclosed, you know, all of the parameters around that yet. They are going to get back to us with more information.
Just to add to that, I went to a tech directors meeting about 3 weeks ago, and even the state couldn't really answer any of these questions
Right.
either, so don't feel like
No.
you're left out in the cold.
The next item is an announcement. Our Blackstone Millville Regional High School marching band was very successful this year, named New England Scholastic Band Association Division 5 champion for 2013. This is an honor for all of the band members and reflects their many hours of practice to achieve this championship. And the marching band last achieved this recognition in 2009. So it's been a few years, and the efforts of Mr. Bilbo and the entire band staff in achieving this championship is quite a recognition. It has been the practice of the Blackstone Millville Regional School District, when an organization reaches a championship, whether that's in athletics or an event, that the school district does support the awarding of a jacket in recognition of that championship. So I am aware of that, and I would recommend that the school authorize the expense of purchasing championship jackets for the members of the 2013 Blackstone Millville Regional High School Marching Band. The money would basically come out of a school committee account at this point, you know, for that recognition.
Now, do they still do, in the past, they used to, like if a student got a jacket, we'll say in the 9th grade, they would get it, like a patch or something for the jacket. So are they just using the Delta, or is the whole band going to get bad jackets?
It's a good question, I don't know.
Okay.
Again, the last time they won this championship was in 2009.
But I think we had some of them get some stuff in the spring because they were percussion champs. So we spent about $1,600, I'm thinking,
This is,
last
according to
year?
Mr. Bilbao, it's 80 students. that
80
won.
students.
80
Okay, so this is a
students.
big game.
Yeah.
Okay, just
Right.
wondering.
All right. 80
I'll make the
students.
motion that we approve the championship jackets for the 2013 edition of the BMR Chargers Marching Band.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Buckley, seconded by Mr. Robin. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay? Abstentions? Unanimous.
The next item I'm calling to the attention of the school committee, Mr. Chaplin and I have been talking about this almost daily. The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education is yet to approve the request of the Blackstone Millville Regional School District Committee for my critical waiver to be in this position for this year. I have pension limitations that could have impact on my pension, and without a critical waiver, this could be very problematic. It's not so much the money, it's I'm restricted to, in a calendar year, to working only 960 hours. When I initially took the position, we were talking about 4 days. I'm now working 5. So, you know, this is 960 hours is the equivalent of 120 days. It's not so much a problem from August to the end of December, but it would be a problem from January to June. All right? So it is, you know, something, and I'm just calling it to the attention of the committee, and I have to thank Mr. Chaplin for being diligent in trying to pursue this waiver, you know, from the appropriate representative from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. It was an item we put in my contract because there is a penalty. If
Has anybody been denied a waiver?
I'm not aware of anybody that's been denied a waiver.
We haven't been yet.
No, no.
We-
Okay, it's a little bit of a process that they're asking for many things that I've delivered every single time, so I think we'll have some resolution, is my hope, by the next 5 business days.
And worst-case scenario, when would the 120 days approximately run out at your current rate?
Well, again, the pension uses a calendar year, so the clock starts ticking again on January 1st.
Okay.
But the days from January to June would exceed the 120, and that's problematic. That's problematic. All right. Again, it wasn't as big an issue when I initially took the position because it was only 4 days. Now that it's gone to 5, it's kicking it in, and it's a concern. The next item, if you recall our meeting where we had representatives from the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee, the issue was raised by the Millville Board of Selectmen about the maintenance at Millville Elementary School concerning the Millville Elementary School cafeteria. And I found went over to the Millville Elementary School, and last year, the custodian did get a quote to do that repair and/or replace the floor. It was not included in your budget. I physically inspected the floor. I don't think the floor can be repaired. The seam separation is like a spider. It's not just in one location, it's in multiple locations in the cafeteria floor. I quite frankly think if we spent, you know, over $13,000 to fix the current separations, we will only see a separation someplace else within a few months.
Now, this is the kitchen, right?
Kitchen floor, yes.
So that's like a poured floor.
Correct.
And it looks like probably the subfloor under it may be
Correct.
suspect.
Yeah, well, you're probably correct, and I have the company report from last year. It's an epoxy floor.
Yeah,
The problem with a split is it's allowing moisture to get under there.
sure.
And trying to fix a little split, you don't know where another
Plus,
split.
it looks like it's gonna
Correct,
come up
yeah.
and,
The
probably
difficulty is that,
redone.
again, these are prices that we got last year. The replacement last year option to remove and replace was $23,500. The operative issue is the rental agreement with the town of Millville is that we are responsible for things under $20,000. The town is responsible for things over $20,000.
capital cost.
That's the reason that I sent the memo. This is a quote that's from a year ago. I offered to Ms. Coffin, if she would like, you know, to go out and get a new quote, let me know what we do. I gave her my opinion. I do not feel that this floor should be repaired. I think it needs to be replaced. It's not worth the investment in a repair. I just think it will.
So it's not cost-effective to just do the repair.
Given the condition, you know, quite frankly, if you seam it and fix it, I think the cause of the problem is only gonna pop up in another part of the floor, you know, and the company that did it, you know, was calling attention to the fact, yes, they could strip and do a repair, but the reality is, you know, without doing that, they couldn't guarantee it.
Right.
If they replaced the whole thing, then we would get some kind of a guarantee on that. So this is a poured epoxy floor. It's not a tile floor, it's not like we just have to pop a few tiles and replace them. It's a poured epoxy floor, which is pretty common in a kitchen area for maintenance. But I have not heard back. I sent that letter on October 25th. I have not had any correspondence or phone call or email from the Millville Board of Selectmen on this issue. Okay. All right. The next item is the support staff have sent you a letter requesting opening of bargaining with the support staff. As per their current agreement, their contract is in place for this year. I met with the co-presidents yesterday, and they are interested in doing a collaborative bargaining training. But we do need to get 2 members of the school committee to serve on the negotiating team with the support staff. Something to consider.
So who's not eligible?
There are 2 members of the committee that are not eligible to be on this committee.
I can give some time. When do you expect it to start up?
Well, that's, basically once we get the 2 committees, we can get together and kind of talk about, what is the consensus for when to start. They're asking to start as soon as possible, which is good. To have that
How many
discussion.
committee members are you looking for?
2?
2, I
2.
recommend 2.
All right, I'll be the Millville person if you want.
So with Diane and Steve. I will communicate that to Karen Rowe, the president of the support staff. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the town of Blackstone. We heard town of Millville that they had applied for a green community grant. The town of Blackstone is also now applying for a green community grant, and we received a request for information on the schools in the town of Blackstone for electricity and fuel usage, which includes both natural gas and oil. And this is just a copy of the letter that I wrote on behalf of the committee. I took advantage in saying you supported it because you did so in Millville. All right? That's a town initiative to deal with one of these green community grants. If I can, Mr. Chairman, I have 2 other items that came in late. I believe I've told the committee in the past that we were working with a company, Northern Energy Services. We went in and did an audit of the Hartnett Middle School and prepared a proposal that they submitted to National Grid for some energy updates. I was notified by the gentleman, Mr. Robinson, that the grant proposal was accepted, and National Grid is prepared to offer us partial payment for the corrective items at the Hartnett Middle School. They're estimating that if we take these energy saving, we could save approximately $19,000 a year, both in electric and fuel consumption at the school. So I will be meeting with this representative next week. Obviously, the issue is how do we fund our portion of that proposal. He indicates that National Grid is willing, to move us to pay some, or we can actually continue to keep our dollar amounts for electricity higher and pay them off over several years to do it. The total cost estimate of this project is $73,000, and looking for that figure, I believe they were looking at funding about half of it. All right. Should have put a yellow highlighter on it. I can't put my finger on the amount. I apologize, for that. But I believe it was about half of that, and again, they're estimating we'd save about $19,000 a year to do it. So if the committee wishes, I will meet with him, and I would like to pursue this with the company of Northern Energy Services to see how we could fit this into our budget to do it.
Any discussion?
It's a good return on investment.
Yes,
Two
it is.
years.
2 years, we break even.
Right. And they're offering, as I said, the option of, we could pay for it over multiple years. But it would mean keeping our energy line items high.
Yeah, the other thing concerns me with that is how would we manage that?
That's right.
That sounds like funny money.
My experience with these in the past is that if at all possible, if we could pay for it, with funds, go back to your special revenue funds. You have $35,000 building. So there's a revenue source.
Would we have to pay that money up front, or would there be a scheduled?
That's the question that I would, be working with them, yeah.
Because the
Well,
timing, of course, would be,
Mhm.
how disruptive would it be? Is it work they would do during the summer, or is it work they
I
would do
really-
right away, or?
Much of the work is up in the ceiling with some of the vents and controls that are up there. And, some of it is also, weather stripping and work they do around the exterior, all right? In terms of that. And some roof seal, access and spray foam things that would be done. So, in all honesty, when I met with them initially, it's probably a job they would not want to do when the building is occupied, because they're gonna have to open up the ceiling, and they gotta open up a lot of it in order to make these retrofits up there. Some of it's controls, dampers, and some motors to do that.
They have any idea what the time frame would be
I
like?
have not
Time
met
they
with the
would-
representative. I honestly can't answer that question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
That's why, but
So at this point, you just want permission to pursue it?
correct, yeah.
You need a motion for that, or?
I think a consensus, and then because the funding piece, I'd have to come back to you for a separate vote.
That's fine. Sure.
The other item that I received a letter on today, at the Millville Elementary School, the MESPA, which is the Millville Elementary Parents Association, had sought your permission to build a playground, which was originally cost estimated at about $200,000. I received a letter from Kathy Stearman indicating that they are, we appreciate the opportunity you afforded us and are saddened that we are unable to continue to work on this project. So they made some efforts at fundraising, and they could not achieve any significant fundraising. So just to publicly thank them for their efforts, but they're withdrawing. They're not able to raise the money and pursue.
Actually, it wasn't, did the letter say money? It was actually an approval. The town land became an issue. I
Yeah.
don't think we pursued the money like we wanted to.
But it didn't also say they were looking to set aside, what, $20,000 for maintenance, and that was just
town
too
was
large
asked-
of
For
a
the
fee.
town, yeah.
Town was asking that they also contribute $20,000 endowment, which
Yeah.
would then cover the cost of maintenance. At this point, the Millville Board of Selectmen has granted us permission to build at this location, subject to MESPA agreeing to an endowment, becoming a line item in the town, on the town finances and responsibility for maintaining the playground. But again, I think it's the overall, they were not able to achieve, working at the $200,000 figure. Is that correct, Aaron? And
Yeah, it was, it is.
Well, I was reading that in the reading pack, and I couldn't get the numbers to work in my head. So it costs $200,000 potentially, and they want $20,000 to maintain it?
Yes.
Well, an endowment, so that's probably gonna last them over years, not.
But that was too big of a hurdle, so.
Right.
we
And then there
obviously not
became
gonna need-
questions on who was going to insure it, and that's where the 20,000 came in. So it just became a point where we realized if the school was putting it in, the financial burden was above what we could do for fundraising, and
But we have insurance liability for the ball fields and the basketball.
Yeah,
and
actually, we
playground.
could
There's
never
already
really
a
get
playground up there.
the exact answer on it. What we were trying to find out is who insured the Blackstone one and who maintains the one in Blackstone, and honestly, we never got straight answers.
Did you talk to Buddy? Buddy,
Right,
Buddy took that over. And if you recall, many years ago, there was this big tires and,
right, that was the National Honor Society,
I'm
or
sorry, what?
Student Council.
No, that was a family group, that was a parent group that put that in first.
Huh.
And then, we wound up having to maintain some of it, but then it became too costly. After Andrew passed away, that foundation had looked to give something back to the community, as well as scholarships and so forth, and then they wound up disassembling all that other stuff and got it out of there. And then they bought some pieces each year and put them in, with the oversight of a technician and so forth. But if you talk to his buddy or his wife Sophie, they could probably tell you how they went about that. Obviously, some of your expense, obviously, if you're gonna have to clear some of that land, I know where they're talking about, it's kind of rugged back in there. And so, I mean, you're gonna have some startup costs, but I don't know. Once again, the town of Blackstone obviously owns that building,
Like Millville
so they
Oaks.
insure, would expect some insurance as far as
Right.
that goes.
It's
and
actually the same setup. If you think, it's Millville's building,
Yeah.
Blackstone's building, and,
I thought we insured it.
Probably do.
I think we insured,
Right.
we insured the playground at.
Well, we carry the insurance on the building.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest issue, they tried this once before, they couldn't find an appropriate spot, and then it became, well, how do you control who's in the playground and who's whatever? But I mean, this is back, well, Everett was the principal at the time, so a good 15 years. But yeah, that's what I would suggest, if you talk to the Bevo, I could give you some information on that, who to talk to. They could
I
probably-
think they went through Mrs. Ryan to get, I believe, but,
Hmm?
I think they had reached out to the family to, get some answers. And I honestly, those meetings were a while ago, so I don't remember what the exact, yeah.
They had like a board of directors that oversaw the
Mhm.
scholarship fund, and then the last thing was when they put up the sign and stuff, several
Okay.
years ago now.
You're all set, Perry? So, public forum, seeing nobody here, we'll move forward. Appointments, doesn't seem to be any. Subcommittee reports, superintendent search. Diane, Erin?
We met, it's rolling right along. I think we're in good shape, and we've got a couple of things we're gonna do, and next time we meet, we should be full swing.
Can you elaborate a little bit, just for the folks at home?
We will be doing a focus survey, so there will be something posted on our website that's a quick little 3 questions, what you think, I should look at them. Qualities we'd like to see in the next superintendent. The survey will be open to teachers, support staff, administrators, parents, community members. Skills and background we want them to possess, what we think the challenges of the next superintendent will be in the beginning of their reign, and any other information. So the public, and everybody who is a stakeholder, which is community, teachers, parents, students, are welcome to complete that survey, and the search company will be gathering all that information and presenting it to us. We also would be looking for a screening committee to consist of teachers, administration, community, town officials, parent organizations, and that, to get together to go through the first, actually, we're not calling it a screening, we're calling it is it a screening?
Screening.
The screening committee, to go through the applicants and to move somebody forward. They're not interviewing, they're just looking at the the resumes and applications as they come
Move at least four forward, four
in, to
candidates
move at
forward.
least 4 forward.
And I think the point is it's gonna be an open process. A lot of the information that we went over tonight during our workshop will be on our website, the survey link, and so forth, and probably even the timeline, I think is probably a good idea to put up there as well. So all that stuff will be up there. Strategic planning,
Nothing new to report.
policy review, we're working, regional agreement, Wendy and Erin?
Have we had a chance to get the enrollment population?
I called Dr. Kennedy at NESDEC, and I have to follow up with Brad Monroe tomorrow to find out some data that he needs, so.
And that's a 10-year view that we're gonna
Correct.
get? Okay.
Mhm.
And once you have that,
There,
we'll-
we're gonna define the problem and go from there on what we're looking at and where we're headed on the regional agreements.
Okay. And then you got the material I sent the whole committee from the regional agreement breakout group that they had at the conference last week,
Do
so
they post those presentations?
all
anywhere?
those will be up. It might even be up now.
I'd just like to see some of the slides.
Yeah. Public relations, Mr. Buckley, Mr. Chaplin.
Well, I think that biggest public relations right now, Mr. Chaplin, I'm sure you'll agree, is the work we're really doing with the superintendent search.
Right.
And, keep track of the social media and the websites for information along those lines. I think since we've last met, we had the joint meeting with the communities, just trying to maintain those avenues of communication with both towns, and that's about it.
Great. Budget, we have a meeting set for next week with an ad hoc group, so I am gonna put another plea out to both communities in Millville and Blackstone. If you are interested in being on this ad hoc committee, there was probably 4 or 5 people
Yeah,
that came
Yeah, we
last
had
time.
4.
Mainly FinCom members and Board of Selectmen representative as well. So I might even put a link on our webpage as well as Facebook. If you're interested, send us an email, and you're more than welcome to come. We want it to be an open process. I do think possibly in December, when we have our meeting, we might have someone come in and talk about Chapter 70 from DESI for each town, the formulas and where that's all kind of in flux. There was someone there at the conference last week.
Roger Hatch,
Was it
Jeff Wilson.
Jeff Wilson?
Jeff Wilson.
So that's where we're at on that. And those are really our 2 main priorities, the budget and superintendent search at this point. Facilities?
Nothing there, but I need to ask you, do you have that spreadsheet?
I'm sure I have it in my emails.
Can you send it to me? Because I cannot find it for the life of
I'll
me.
look for it.
All right.
Myself an email.
We're going to go back to, jump around here to report of student representatives. So I see Mr. Gallagher is here.
Yeah, sorry, I still gotta.
All right.
That's all right.
I know Morgan's not here, so I can talk about sports tonight too. I know that the boys and girls soccer team both made districts, and unfortunately they're both eliminated in the first round. But the fact that both teams got there is good for the program. The football team got their first win of the season 2 weeks ago. They won a 24-0 against. I want to say, is it Keith Tech? Yeah, Keith Tech.
Can we
So that
play
was
them a
good.
few
That
more
was nice
times?
to have.
Schedule them every week.
That was nice to have at least one win this season. And then for band, we went to Bands of America Eastern Regional Championships in Towson, Maryland, and we won the Class A championship, and we won the Best Music, Best Visual, and Best Overall Effect award. We went from Towson, Maryland to Lowell, Massachusetts on that Sunday, and we competed in the MICA competition and got our 25th or 6th straight gold medal there. And the next Saturday, we won first place in Division 5 for the New England Scholastic Band Association Championship. So it's a nice way to end the season.
Yeah, tremendous.
Nice job.
I
We
know.
should tell you that the committee voted earlier to support championship jackets for the band.
Oh, really? Oh, good. I know a lot of the younger kids will be happy about that. Because last time they got them was the first year that I was in 2009, and
Yeah.
a lot of the kids don't have them. Something else.
Tom, can you ask, the kids who are getting it for second or third go-around, what happens then? They get a patch, or is it
Yeah,
something sewn
the
on?
ones who
or-
already have one of the jackets, they just get like a patch that'll say 2013 NESBA champions on it, and then like same thing if they win. Like I know for winter percussion that some of those kids got jackets last year, so they'll just get another patch on there. So that's just how it goes.
Well, I'll give you an idea how long it's been though, with 80, 80 being the number, so it's completely shifted the whole, just about the whole band.
Yeah, really. There's only like probably 20 or so kids that have them now, so that'll be good.
Great.
I feel like there's something else though. Oh, we're having our first Powder Puff football game too, where the girls play and the football players cheerlead. We're having that on the half day before Thanksgiving, so
That's great.
that should be fun. That'll be a
And then Thanksgiving Day game.
yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right. They do the Thanksgiving Day game this year. The marching band's performing at halftime of that too, I believe. So
Great.
So we get you
Excellent.
some jackets before then, huh?
Yeah.
2 weeks.
But that football game on Thanksgiving is what, 10 in the morning, I think?
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure. I think
Kids, Sutton.
So, get out there.
Sutton, yep.
yeah,
That'd be great.
I should be good for the school. I think that's it though. Can't think of anything else.
All right, great.
Want to do community forum while you're here?
That's
I mean,
fun.
You could have 2 shots at that.
Yeah, I might have to
Any
fight, I
questions
don't
from
know.
the committee? Tom?
Congratulations.
Congratulations,
thank
Tom.
you.
Good
Great,
way to
thank
end your senior year.
Yeah, it was. It was a very good way.
Okay, now we'll jump back to second public forum. No one's here. And we'll do committee forum. So we'll just kind of go around.
Okay. I'd like to remind my Millville friends that the Millville Town Meeting is Monday, November 18th at 6:30. Those meetings are somewhat lightly attended. I hope we can get some people out there enough to have a quorum. It's a lot of financial articles, things like that. Second thing, you didn't mention it, but Zach Taylor from the cross-country team is going to be competing in the state championships. It's coming Saturday up in Gardner.
That's great.
He's a sophomore, and he came in 21st in his district, so he's going to be making the big thing with all the kids in the state, so we'll see how that goes. The team came in 6th overall out of 28 teams in Central Mass. Again, they're freshmen and sophomores primarily, so they're doing pretty well. But the top 3 teams make it to states, and then the top 3 teams and then 10 individuals not on those teams.
So they cut it down to 10?
Yeah.
Oh, it used to be 15.
Yeah.
They cut it down to 10. Wow.
And Zach Taylor came in 21st overall in his race, so he made it. So, and it's been great. Zach has been running with basically the whole team this week. They've all been supporting him, even though he's the only one competing. They've been training with him every day. I think I have a full contingent on Saturday cheering for him. So.
Are you going?
Yeah, I'll be there. So that'll be great. Yeah, anyway.
I noticed in the packet that there's a letter from Maureen Tessier about the Naviance usage, and congratulations to her. We funded that last spring at their request. 174 applied for early decision, which is a record, and 1 for early action. So we wish all the seniors good luck, and I'm glad that the program is so popular and is so well used. So congratulations to Mrs. Tessier and the staff. NESPA champs again. Just congratulations, Tom, and to all the band members, and for their 25th consecutive gold medal from Micah, which is no small feat, that's for sure. So congratulations to Mr. Schaefer and Mr. Bebo and all the staff on their great job. It concerns me somewhat that, the Commonwealth continues to its little actions or their practice of these unfunded mandates. They really are putting school districts, I feel, behind the 8 ball in many ways. Most notably is I think a lot of this stuff takes away from the learning, which is a shame. And I urge you all to, talk to your reps, talk to Senator Moore about some of this stuff. Now, this park thing it's going to make ACA look like a cakewalk, I think. We've maybe not so much of an impact here at Blackstone Millville, but other school districts where they're doing written tests as well as online tests, as well as making them also do the MCAS. I mean, when we were, the district that I work in, when we were presented with this, I was afraid there was going to be a revolt if we told these teachers we were going to put them to another set of standardized tests. So we politely declined. And I urge all the schools out there just to decline. Until the Commonwealth comes up with the money to fund some of these initiatives, they really need to be told and put in their place that, look, we're busy educating the children in these towns, and we're not really care about the spreadsheets or the data, because we become data paralyzed by all this nonsense. So, you know, until someone grabs the bull by the horns and tells Mr. Chester where he can get off, I think it's just it's a fraud being placated on the backs of the children in the state, to the point that it's just a way for Pearson and all the rest of these big conglomerates to make money off of the public dime. And if you don't realize that, log into the park site and you see, welcome to Pearson Education. All that is a business. It has nothing to do, and they don't really care about the impact of the educational process to the children. That's my soapbox, Mr. Chairman, and I'll move on.
Well said.
So I just have a question for you, then, Mr. Buckley. What if we do say no thank you and just decline some of these initiatives? Some of them are obviously things we're in the middle of, but some of them are things we haven't even started. Because we're trying to hire staff, we're trying to hire administration, trying to focus on the learning, what happens if we just say,
I don't know. I don't know if they'd affect our Chapter 70 reimbursement, or they'd take us to court. But, I mean, I think most people that are in this business are fed up with it. Because really, this is not going to make the learning experience for Tom or for any of these students any better by us filling out these DDMs or aligning to the Common Core that we think we're going to adopt. Look at the pressure you put under all of these schools. Look at the fact that the high school, which is a level 1 school, so we're meeting the expectations, and we have to do all this stuff, and now prepare for NEASC, which is another review, another set of self-examination. When does an average teacher have any time to actually sit down and plan an exciting lesson plan, or be able to say, how am I going to engage those 30 kids in front of me?
They do it at 9 o'clock at night.
And it's absolutely true.
Or later.
Or later.
Or later.
But what I mean is
Or
that that's
weekend,
what we need to
or
really
holidays.
focus on. Because these bureaucrats that are in Boston, these people that decide on waivers or whatever, have no clue. It's been so long since they've been behind a desk or in a classroom, they wouldn't know where to start. And until we take this back, and I give MASC the raspberry on this too, because they need to be lobbying for this crap. They talk a good game, but I don't see much going on. And I think, you all know Dick Moore's number, at least I do. Call him up, give him a piece of your mind. He's the president pro tem of the Senate. Find Kuros if you can. Let him know what your feelings are. This is your money, these are your schools. We're in this fight together, but did I answer your question?
yeah, I just enjoy getting you back up on your soapbox again. So I have nothing else. I've taken enough of your time, but thank you. I agree with
Not
that.
good, I'll pass by.
I have a couple things. I first want to congratulate the band for the championships, and they do a really good job every year. So it's exciting that they're champions again. And I also want to piggyback on what Mr. Buckley said about the amount of time that teachers in general, but also are putting forth with the new Common Core, the initiatives that are going on in our district, the fact that I also want to say thank you to the staff at the JFK for moving and the amount of time that it takes to move a classroom on top of the initiatives that are taking place, on top of the new evaluation. I appreciate the amount of time that they're, putting in, and, for that, I'm grateful. I know it's been a smooth transition, at least for my child who's been there. He's excited about the roof project, and he doesn't notice all the stress that's probably taking place behind the scenes. So I just wanted to take a minute and say thank you to them. I also want to take a minute to say thank you to Dr. Davis for being diligent and thorough at our meetings, and for moving from 4 days to 5 days to make this transition a smooth one for our district. So thank you.
Thank you.
You want to go to 6? That's the question.
But,
That's it for me.
I would like to congratulate the band. I saw it was all over Facebook, and the fire trucks coming through again. That's always nice. You know when they're coming. I also want to mention too, there's a pretty big fundraiser being planned at Millville Elementary, and it's called the Williamsburg Christmas. It will be on December 5th, and it's geared towards a girls' night out. Not that you're not welcome, but and it'll be a nice time. It's actually put on by Mrs. Smith, who's been in the district for many, many years, and tickets will go on sale soon. So we hope to have a full house for that. It's Thursday, December 5th.
And is that a fundraiser?
It is a fundraiser. It is. It's actually going towards the scholarship foundation that's been set up, but
Oh, good.
it is being sponsored by MESPA, and yeah, so
what, is it going to be a show or a?
it is a show.
Okay.
And there'll be some raffles and some fun times.
But no boys.
Well, you can come. You can come man the raffle team.
I
want to pick you up?
take the warnings. I take the warnings seriously, Liz.
You know,
Everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome.
that's great, thank you. I just want to also congratulate the band. It was great to witness that and be a part of it for the season. I know Winter Guard is ramping up now as well, so that'll continue on along with percussion and so forth. Diane and myself and Dr. Davis was at a conference last week, the Mass Association of School Committees and the Mass Association of School Superintendents, and all the soapboxes were there as well, and the poor legislators that came. Everyone's saying really the same thing, that, one person actually got up and said, if you can just get the transportation right, then we'll move on to these other things, reimbursement. So I think they're hearing it, and I think this is a really a critical point in time where they're getting it from every different angle. But what do you do? I think the park, we have some ability, and a lot of districts in the Commonwealth have been saying, no, well, we can't do it. But the other things, the evaluations, the Common Core, all the initiatives that they're putting forth, take time and take money, and not money that they're given. So the other big thing was, Chapter 70 funding and how we could do that differently, and they're at least, I think they're at least exploring, looking at a committee to kind of explore that further, so whatever that means. But that's definitely something that's going to be, hits us every year in terms of how the Chapter 70 money gets delved out.
That's the kiss of death, when they study.
I know, no, I know. Well, that costs money that they take out of probably Chapter 70 to study it. But I was your delegate at the Mass Association of School Committee meeting, open meeting, general meeting, and I can give you the stuff that was voted on and put forth. They did vote on, I can tell you that they did vote on how to evaluate the commissioner, just like everyone else, in terms of getting everyone involved and getting pieces of documents.
To see his evidence.
Yeah, right, and getting evidence and so forth. So that'll be interesting how that plays out. So with that, that's all I have, and I look forward to the Thanksgiving Day game as well.
Is the craft fair this weekend? Is
Sorry?
the country craft fair or
Is
something?
that
Yeah, actually, it's tomorrow night.
It's tomorrow night.
Yep, in the cafeteria.
Okay, great. So I will now look for a motion to enter into executive session for a matter pertaining to.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, before we go into
Okay,
executive
sure.
session, under our next agenda, the committee had asked for presentations by teachers or administrators. We've been working with Mrs. Brown and Mrs. Desai about having them come in to talk about the literacy program that you initiated. I'd like to do that in December.
That'd be great.
And put them on at the first of the agenda for them to come in and do that. It's my plan to give you the first overview of a draft budget that night. Possibly an MCAS report. I'm meeting with our data team tomorrow. Again, I gave you a snapshot, but I might also, based on some of their work, want to put an initial MCAS data on the agenda. So just to alert you to that. But
That's
yeah,
great.
Mrs. Desai and Mrs. Brown would like to come and share with you the literacy program that you funded this year and the work that's being done, K to 5.
That'd be great.
Okay? Thank you.
Okay. So now I'm looking for a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Not to return to open session.
Not to return to open session. Diane, you second? You were seconding a lot of these motions tonight.
Actually, I second
Keep it
one of
going.
them, but you
did.
called
Why
it.
didn't you acknowledge it? So, we need to go around the room and do a roll call vote to go into executive session to discuss legal matters. What's that?
Yes.
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 And yes.
That means you're out of here.
Everybody sign the warrants.
Yeah,
that
you're
were
sworn.
read.
See you, Tom.
Good job, Tom.
Is it possible to get the packet